Hello. It is your girl Timmesha here, and welcome back to my channel where I strive to teach, aspire, and shit. I am very excited about today's video. Today we are going to be talking about how to prepare your child, your teen for real life. Okay, because how many of us know life be lifing sometimes, okay? And I don't know about you, but I know about me, and I know I'm like, man, my mama and daddy didn't tell me about this. Like, I know when I was younger, I was super excited to be an adult, but adulting is hard. And I think some of the things that like we go throughout our life, we experience as we're adjusting to adulthood, you're never going to be prepared for it. Like, you can know about it, but it's one thing to know about it versus when you're going through it, when you're walking through it, when you're adjusting on how to handle these said situations. But I wanted to drop just a few topics that I think are very important for us as the adults in our children and our students' lives to kind of teach them how to navigate these adulting, these real life issues, these real life circumstances, situations, all the things. And what I'm going to have you guys do is leave me a comment down below if you would like me to go into specific detail about some of these topics, because I'm just going to name off a few just to kind of gauge, see if you guys agree, see if you disagree. So definitely let me know. But the first thing I would say that is important in preparing your child for real life is, again, while they're under your protection, while they're in your home and you can kind of scoop them up if need be, if they get in too far, too deep, is allowing them to fail within your home, within the sanctity of your house. And what I mean by that is simply allowing them to experience things where they may not always succeed. And I think that this is very important and helps prepare a child for real life because, one, it shows them that life is going to happen. You're not always going to end up on top. As a lot of times you'll hear kids say, life, it just isn't fair. It's not fair. And that's true. Sometimes life just does not work out how we plan, how we think, or how we want it to. And that's just the reality of honestly living life. And so I think it's important to teach them this, to show them this, and allow them to experience this. So that way, again, they can see this is just life. Sometimes it's not fair. Sometimes you try your absolute hardest and you still don't make the team. You still don't pass the test. And not only is it showing them that side of things, but it's also showing them how to bounce back when they face adversities. So it's giving them the tools, the resources, the skills that they need to learn how do they handle emotions? How do they handle feeling disappointed? How do they handle feeling frustrated? How do they handle feeling shame or guilty? Like, how do they handle those emotions when things like this happen? The second thing that I would say that's important to prepare our child for real life is how to save and budget their money. Whether that's an allowance that you give your younger kids, whether that's giving them $5 and saying, okay, today we're going to go to the store, we're going to go to the Dollar Tree, we're going to go to $5, 5 and below, and I'm going to let you work your $5. And this way they're literally learning hands-on how to manage the $5 that they have, what happens when they buy something and they can't afford it, what do they have to do? It's teaching them all those things. And then it's even important that as they're getting older, they may be reaching that first time job gig. And it's important that at a very young age, we instill in our children how to not only budget their money, but how to save their money. And so that could be you opening up a savings account that they don't necessarily have access to, but just so they get into that habit of putting that money on the side and then budgeting their money. So I know for me, when I was growing up, I did not have a car yet. And once I officially finally got my license. That's a story for a whole nother day. But once I did, I would go to work, and one of my parents' rules was that whoever's car I drove for that week, or usually it was for a week at a time that I would be able to drive their car to work, but whoever car I drove, I had to put in a certain amount of gas money. And again, this just taught me that gas, it takes gas to run a car. So I'm just not out here whipping and rolling in my mom, dad, or sister's car for fun. But it taught me, okay, let me be strategic about this, and let me make sure I'm doing what I really have to do. And then another thing that's important that we teach our children is, I know for me, my parents taught me the importance of tithing and giving offering, whether that's to a church, whether that's to another organization that they give back to the community. My parents always instilled that in me at a very young age. So for me, it was getting my paycheck, putting aside that 10% to go towards my church, giving an offering towards my church or any other organizations that I was a part of, and then also ensuring that I was budgeting out gas or food or any other extracurricular activities that I wanted to do, like go to the mall or go to the movies with my friends. Those were things that my parents taught me how to set aside and do early on. And 3 other things that I would say that is very critical, very important, very key in helping to prepare our child for real life is, the third one would be how to handle conflict. And I think that this is so critical and important because living life, you are going to be interacting with other adults, other people who have different values, who grew up in different ways than you grew up, who have different thoughts, ideas, and thoughts on things. And so with that is going to come conflict, whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, whether it's with an employer, whether it's with a colleague, whether it's with a significant other. And so it's so important that we realize the importance of teaching our children how to navigate and how to handle those conflicts. And I think a big one, especially around their young age, is going to be friendship. So how do they handle friendship conflict? And then even how do you guys as a family handle conflicts? I know for me and my family, we would have family meetings, and we literally, guys, I laughed because I was going through some old papers of mine, and I found a whole page that I was going through the Shockley family meeting, and I was the minute keeper. I was the minute keeper, keeping minutes. And so this is a great way for you to see how do I handle conflict? How am I teaching my child how to handle conflicts? Am I shutting down and just saying whatever and we'll talk about it later? Or am I showing them how to, maybe I do need space to process how I'm feeling, get to the root of why I'm upset, and then coming back and talking with my whoever is upset, whether it's your husband, your wife, your children, or whatever the case is. How are we at saying we are sorry? Is it something that we kind of just gloss over when we have a big issue, and then everything is hunky-dory the next day? Or do we really purpose to come to one another and say, hey, I talked to you this way and I shouldn't have talked to you in that manner. I'm sorry. So this is a great time for you, even as a family, to identify how do you guys handle some of these things. The 4th thing that I would say is important to teach our children and prepare them for the real life is how to set boundaries. How do they set boundaries with their siblings? How do they set boundaries with their friends? How do they set boundaries with us, the adults in their lives? How do they set boundaries with coworkers and colleagues and just all the different people that they are in relationship with? How do they set boundaries? How do we as adults role model setting boundaries? And I think that this is a great time to kind of really teach your child, your teen, your young adult, what is important to them, what do they need to feel like they're seen, heard, and that their thoughts, their opinions matter, and what are some boundaries that they would need to institute. And again, I think, like I said before, this is a great time for you as a family to discuss what are some of our boundaries. What are some things that we can kind of build around to help model the importance and the importance of boundaries and how to set them and stick to them. And the last thing that I have, I believe it's the fifth one, the fifth thing that I would say that it's important to teach our children, our young teen, our young adult, our adult, whoever, to prepare them for the real world is how to care for their body. And the last thing that I have, I believe it's the fifth one, the fifth thing that I would say that it's important to teach our children, our young teen, our young adult, our adult, whoever, to prepare them for the real world is how to care for their body, how to care for their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health, right? Their emotional health, how to care for all of these things. And I know that that's one thing I'm really grateful for. My mom always, especially like when it came to like the physical aspect, the physical side, you know, especially as young girls are starting to go through puberty, their bodies are starting to change. Young guys, they're going through puberty, all of a sudden they stink all the time. And so I think it's important that we're teaching them how to care for their bodies, our young girls, how to take care of your body when you're on your period, all those sorts of things, and teaching them, you know, the importance of not only just grooming their body so it looks appealing to the eye, but also really ensuring that they are taking care of their emotional health, their mental health, their psychological health. So that way it's not just an outward appearance, but it's an inward appearance. And we're really emphasizing to them the importance of all of those things. So I hope that these 5 things helped. Again, let me know if you want me to go into further detail in another video. And I hope that you guys enjoy this video. Again, take this as a time to even self-evaluate for yourself. Where do you stand on some of the topics that were mentioned in today's video? Please be sure that you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my future uploaded videos. And I will see you guys in my next video. All right, take care. Bye-bye.